Hi YouTube. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about an experience I had where I actually saw in the physical higher dimensional beings appear. I'm making this video for myself, for my children. I want it documented on my channel. I haven't really seen any other videos like this online, so I'm a bit nervous, but here I go. Okay, so I'm a paranormal investigator. In 2009, I co-founded a paranormal investigative team called the Paranormal Housewives. And in 2012, I believe it was, or 2011, we were in Death Valley, California, on a paranormal investigation in an old abandoned miners town. And while we were there exploring during the day, we saw about half a mile down the road from where we were staying, there was an old cemetery. And so we decided collectively as a group, there was about, I think, 5 or 6 of us, that we would go back to the cemetery that night and do a little investigation. So we did. We went back. It was about 10:30 at night. The moon was a little past half full, which is important to note. We could see clearly. There were no lights. It's like in the middle of Death Valley, so there's like no people. The city that we were at had a population of, I think, 5 people. So we walked down to the cemetery. We could see everything by the light of the moon. We get to the cemetery, and the cemetery is very small, and it's surrounded by a chain link fence. And there's a gate that opens, and it's 2 doors that open in like this. There's about 30 graves there. So everybody kind of splits off into their own group, or we all kind of like wander around individually. I walk around to every headstone, and in my mind I say to that person, I read their name, and I basically just tell them in my mind that, you know, I honor their human journey here, and that I respect them, and I thank them for assisting us in our human evolution. I did that with every headstone. And we did an EVP session, which is where we ask questions with a voice recorder. We did that for a while. We had some paranormal equipment there that we were using. We had a K2, which is it's an EMF detector. It basically reads electromagnetic fields. So we had our equipment out. I was kind of tired, so I sat down next to this grave on the side of it, facing the gate. My husband was standing in the gateway, holding the K2. And I was sitting next to 2 of my girlfriends, one on each side of me. And all of a sudden, my husband, he's holding the K2. And when the K2 indicates electromagnetic energy, it starts to light up. So there's like 5 little lights, and it goes from green to red. And if it goes all the way to red, that means there's like a high reading of an electromagnetic field. We all had our cell phones off because our equipment can detect when the cell phone is looking for a signal, which it does randomly. It can set off. Oh, my phone just fell. It can set off the K2. So we had all of our phones off. There was no like electrical poles or anything like that. So my husband's standing there, and the K2 lights all the way up to red. So we all kind of look over at him, and he's standing in the gateway, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this silhouette appears to the right of my husband, and it appears, and it's a human being, and it appears as a perfect silhouette of a human, and the outline of him is glowing. Okay, so you can't see clothes, you can't see like eyes and a nose or ears or anything like that. They were just he was translucent, and the silhouette of him was glowing. And when he first appeared, he was glowing a dim light, but as he appeared more, the light got stronger. The light got stronger, and it glowed really he glowed really bright, like his silhouette, and you could just see him more clearly. It's like he came in on a pulse, like an electromagnetic pulse is the only way I could describe it. Like on Star Trek, when they would say beam me up, and they would stand on those circles, and then like they would, like every cell would dissipate, and then they would disappear, and when they came back on the ship, they would simulate, and you could see every cell appear until they were in full form. Well, that's how it was, but like glowing. So they appeared as glowing, well, I say they because there was more than one, but the one I'm talking about now, the main guy, because he appeared first and the most strongest, and he was in the front, so that's why I call him the main guy. So he appears as a soft glow in silhouette form, and then increases the glow as he manifests, and he was translucent, but still kind of like misty, like crystalline, what you think a crystalline being would literally look like. Glowy and misty on the inside. And he wasn't wearing any clothes. He was just a light being. And he was tall. He was like super tall. He was really tall. And it was amazing. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And I was sitting next to my girlfriends, and we're pointing, and we're like, oh my God, are you seeing this? Yes. Oh my God, look. It's right there. It's right next to V. That's my husband's name, V. It's appearing next to V. Look. Oh my God. And so he would come in on a weird pulse, and then right as he's like at his strongest and his fullest form, then he would start to kind of like dissipate. And then he would disappear. And then he reappeared on the other side of my husband, the same way. And then these other beings appeared. And they were all, it's so weird. So the gate to the cemetery was open. My husband was here. The being appeared here. Then on the other side of my husband. Like in a line, like if there was a grid, and they had to appear like in a perfect line. They were lined up perfectly. So the first one appeared next to my husband, dissipated, reappeared next to him on the other side, and then these other beings, like I'm saying, like in this same like grid line, like this perfect line. I don't know if that is even important. I could be totally off that it was like a perfect place that they had to manifest, but looking back, I think there's something to that. I don't know why, but some of the beings were a little bit shorter, but they were still human. And some of them had feminine energy. There was 5 that appeared in total. And some of them, when they appeared, they didn't appear when they were in full form. They weren't as bright as the initial guy that appeared. Also, there was a feeling that came over us of complete calm. I've been on so many paranormal investigations before where I've been like, in an abandoned mental hospital, and I'm in the children's ward. And there's all these stories of these kids that were mistreated and all this stuff, and you get this really heavy, dense feeling. And I've seen, I've been looking down a hallway before on a paranormal investigation, a dark hallway, and seen what I thought was like movement in the shadows. But it's like, did I really see that? Or am I just matrixing and trying to make sense of the shapes that don't make sense? This wasn't that. This was, without a doubt, beings appearing purposefully to us, to show themselves to us out of nowhere in the middle of the desert. And there was such a calm that came over us. So it was a visual experience and an energetic experience, all wrapped into one. And it was so beautiful. And it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. It was so mind-blowing. So we left, and went back a year later, 2 years later maybe, and we were at the cemetery, same group of people. Oh, I should also note that not all of us saw those beings appear. Only three out of the 6 of us saw them appear. My husband, who was standing right there, didn't see them. And for a long time that bothered me, because I thought, okay, maybe I'm crazy, maybe, I was just seeing things. And then I was like, no, because because it's like so real, I know I wasn't seeing things. And about 6 months ago, I was in my backyard thinking about my experiences, because I have a pre-birth memory as well, where I actually remember existing before coming to Earth. And then I think about these beings that appeared to me. And I know I chose to come to Earth. I remember choosing to come to Earth. And I remember talking to God before I even came down. And God told me, you don't have to go. And I said, I know I don't have to go, but I want to. And again, twice he told me, you don't have to go. And I said, I know, but I want to. And he says, but are you sure you don't have to go? And I said, yes, I definitely want to go. And he goes, well, why do you want to go? And I said, because I love you. And God, in this pre-birth memory, was like this beautiful golden light that moved. In the Bible, when Moses describes the burning bush, that's how I would describe the light. Except for it wasn't fire. It was light that just like moved, and it was golden love. So he says to me, why do you want to go? And I said, because I love you. And then he did like this weird thing. It was almost like a vibe check. Like I emoted, like he was like, why? And I said, because I love you. And in that moment, I emoted, like I showed him all the love I have for him. And he was like, okay. And then I think either I was born right after that, or I'm not really sure. But in my memory, there was like this weird oscillating whitish blue circle that was moving super fast. And it was almost like water. And after he did like the vibe check, or like I emoted my love onto him, and he said, okay, it was like I was sucked into that oscillating thing, which I believe is the birth portal, but I don't know. I probably sound like a crazy person at this point. It's okay. So 6 months ago, I was sitting in my backyard thinking about everything. And I was like, oh, snap. It wasn't real. It was Project Bluebeam. It was Project Bluebeam. And I felt so sad, because I hold so close to my heart that experience of seeing those beings. I just felt so sad in that moment. And I ran in the house and I told my husband, oh my God, babe, it wasn't real what I saw. Because my girlfriend saw it too. It was Project Bluebeam. And he turns to me and he goes, no, Marsh, that's impossible. If it was Project Bluebeam, I would have seen them too. And I was like, oh, snap, you're right. You're so right. They were real. They really appeared. They really did. And I think that's the reason why they didn't appear to everybody there. Because they knew that there would be questions that would come up as to the validity of the experience. And had everybody seen them, we could have easily said that it was Project Bluebeam. One of the beings was wearing an accessory. They weren't wearing any clothes, but one of them was wearing an accessory. And I'm not going to discuss it here because I feel like it holds like personal meaning to me. Or it's something I'm supposed to figure out. But I could tell that the being was in charge, the one wearing the accessory. If you private message me and you know intuitively what accessory that was, I will respond. So we went back. a year or two later. And can you believe it? The exact same thing happened. But this time, hundreds of them appeared. I know. It's so hard to believe. And there's probably so many people that have clicked off this video or are discounting me as being kooky. But it's really true. I want to just blurt out and say like where exactly this happened. So that people can go and experience it too. Although I've been back several times since then and never had the same experience again, unfortunately. I took my daughter back about a year ago and they started to appear, but she got scared, so they didn't appear. But the second time was amazing. The exact same thing happened, except for that there were behind, remember I was talking about that grid, like in a perfect line, how they appeared? It was weird. It's like they all were like on a, it's like there was this invisible line that they all appeared on, right next to each other. But then behind them was like 100 beings. It's true. It's really true. You know, we're not alone here. We're so not alone. And I've tried so many times to communicate with these beings and just be like, please, can you show yourself to me? Please, can you give me a sign that you're here? Please, if you did it out there, you could do it here in my backyard. You could do it, you know, in my house, in my bedroom. Nobody's going to see. Like, why can't you show yourselves to me? And they just won't. They are not to be exploited. I don't know. My pre-birth memory, I could talk about my pre-birth memory really quickly. I don't want to make this video too long. But in my pre-birth memory, I didn't have a body. I was just was conscious energy. And this is me, and I'm in this room in space, looking down at Earth, and Earth is down to like my right. And there's that oscillating blue thing on the floor. And I say room, but it's not really a room because it's like glass. And it's black, but it's not dark. Like the fabric of space. That's how I like to describe it, is literally the fabric of space. And that's where God told me that I didn't have to come to Earth. And I told him I wanted to. And he told me I didn't have to twice. Twice I told him I wanted to. And he asked me why. And I told him because I loved him. And the exchange was like telepathic because we were communicating with words, but it was also energetic. It was like telepathic communication and energetic communication. It flowed. And I was so sharp. Like my thoughts were so crisp and so clear. And I really loved God. And I really wanted to come to Earth. But here's the deal, folks. I think I chose like a blueprint that included a lot of childhood suffering and suffering in young adulthood that made me really, really, really sick. When I say sick, full of a lot of density, a lot of heavy, dark energy. I went through a childhood full of dysfunction and abuse, bad. But I'm so grateful that I chose those things because, I believe we all choose our blueprint and certain things that we need to experience in life for whatever reason. But for me personally, I believe that I'm a warrior for God, and that I chose to come here to suffer, to experience pain and fear and anger, because I believe that there's dark, evil forces that have a grip on this planet. And the only way that we can continue to evolve as a race, in a positive way, is to experience the dark and then be able to transmute that density, that heaviness, into light and love. I was so sick. I have other videos on my YouTube channel where literally I thought I was dying. I mean, pancreatitis, interstitial cystitis, celiac disease, IBD, IBS, low blood pressure. They were going to give me a freaking a thing for my heart, a pacemaker. I was so sick. I was so sick. But I think it's because of all the things that I experienced in my life, all the trauma built up as like dense energy in my body. And it wasn't until I realized about 4 years ago that I had the power to make myself feel better. I had the power to heal myself. And when I started working on forgiving the people that hurt me and forgiving myself, I started to feel lighter. And I started to feel not as sick. And then a light bulb turned on, and I was like, holy crap. I remember that I'm a warrior for God, and that I chose to come here to fight this battle. And that all my suffering that I went through, it's done. It already happened. It's done. So now suffering would be a choice for me, because I am a creator being. I create my own reality. I'm a light worker. I think that it was in my blueprint to remember my pre-birth memory, to experience those beings here. I think I'm one of the first ones that have seen them. And I think it's almost an experiment to see how the human body reacts and the human mind reacts to seeing higher dimensional light beings. I think you have to hold a certain frequency in order to see them. I'm not sure if that's right. That's just my theory. I just know that we're not alone. Just the other day, I was in my backyard meditating, talking to God. I don't even know if it's meditating, but every single day for hours, I sit in my yard and I communicate with God. I communicate with my guides. I communicate with the angels. I talk to Jesus. Just the other day, I was feeling a little bit disconnected. And really needed to feel God's love. And I know I talk to God a lot, but I don't ask God for help a lot because I feel like he's busy with so many children suffering and so many bad things happening. I try to let him do his thing and not worry about me, but I needed him. And so I prayed and I asked God if he could please let me know that I'm on the right track and that he loved me. And when I tell you, that this golden energy of love came over me that was so soft and warm and reassuring. Like, I knew it was God. I knew it was God. And that's my story. The light beings were real. They appeared. You know how Elon Musk has like that Neuralink thing? I thought for sure that I could get like the Neuralink and that people would be able to go back and see my memory. But then I realized that the Neuralink has to be in before it can actually recall a memory. So there's that. But rest assured, we're not alone here. Something's going on. These beings are making themselves more known to us every single day. You just have to open up your mind and your heart and find compassion for yourself and for others and operate from a place of love always in every moment. I love you. I love you. I love you. So honored to be on this planet with you. This is just a temporary experience we're having here, guys. It's gonna be okay. In those dark moments when you're feeling alone, when you're all alone, that's when it counts the most. To have faith in God and know there's a bigger plan. Tap into that love. Know that you're not alone. I love you.